Well, now something's coming on too strong, and I just can't seem to get along. I always try to write a song, but something's words ain't coming out right. Just my niece has left tonight. As long as I've got a pipe, let's go.
Hello, Internet, and welcome to another exciting episode of You Can't Brew That on Television. We are your hosts. I am the Reverend Ryan Bano.
And I am Kyle. The auto zoom, head following Logitech new camera.
Yeah, that's kind of blowing my mind, man.
It's right.
Hey, your camera's looking pretty lame, brother.
Oh, thank you.
But hey,
anytime.
Stunning high definition, so we'll take it, right? So I kind of walked all over that intro.
Your camera's lame enough. Sorry?
I was saying I kind of walked all over that intro. That was kind of horrible, but you know, a little rusty. What are we talking about tonight?
Yeah, a little
guys?
bit, a little bit. I think Kyle, I'd kind of like to talk about beer, if that'll work for you. Is that something you might be into? All right, you're just going to play with your camera, apparently.
Yeah, I'm into beer. That sounds fun. I was telling Rich, it's kind of like Faulkner's over at my house being the cameraman because, like, he can't just stay still, pan in on me, and be happy with the shot that he's got. He's going to be constantly taking it back to zoom.
For emphasis.
Or not following me. Come on, Faulkner! I'm over here. Stick with
really
me.
It doesn't look like you've got a robot camera. It looks like you've got a really bad human camera operator. Just kind of.
Wait, so you're not doing that? That camera is just doing all that weird stuff?
That is completely manual Kyle right now, or automatic camera Kyle.
There was a setting for follow my face.
Follow your face.
So the camera is following my face.
All right, with that disturbing news, I'm going to crack open a beer. Kyle, what are you drinking tonight, buddy?
I am drinking a very unique beer offered by Local Relic in Colorado Springs. So this company is an upstart, brand new company. Their idea is to make over 300 different beers every year. They want to.
Wow.
They want to make.
That's ambitious.
Batch.
How big is this company?
They're doing ultra small batch. And this one, they apparently forgot to carbonate because it's just got like 5 homebrew bubbles on the top. But other than that, we'll see how it tastes. Ooh, Gigantic. I have that at the house. You should have told me. We could have drank that together.
Are you have Kissed the Goat?
Is that their Doppelbock?
Yeah, it's the Doppelbock.
That might be what I got.
Oh. I didn't mention. All right, yeah, so I'm going to be drinking Kiss the Goat from the Gigantic Brewery in Portland, Oregon. Portland, one of the meccas of brewing. So, Kyle, you just make that thing normal, man.
Nope.
Anyway, Portland, one of the meccas of brewing. They make a.
Sorry.
They make a lot of beer there in Portland. A lot of it's really inventive. This is billed as a black Doppelbock, so pretty excited about giving this a try. I wanted to get some Doppelbock tonight because it is the Lenten season, and we'll talk a little bit more about that here in just a bit. But as we have discussed in the past, it's really, really hard to find malty beer in Seattle, and this is a malty beer. So this was literally the only Doppelbock available, and I'm willing to bet it's way too hoppy for a Doppelbock, but I'll find out here in a few minutes. So, Kyle, what are we going to talk about tonight?
Well, we've got a few news segments that we're going to bring up. That should be fun. A couple little trip news, some interesting things that I've found out around here, and like you said, Sleepless in Seattle segment, or Sweetless in Seattle.
Yeah, we didn't get the rights for the Tom Hanks.
Yeah.
Movie,
So, we got a few fun things. Pretty generic episode. So, if you were going to miss one, this would probably be a good one to miss.
kind of a generic
Probably a good call.
Good promo. That's going to be the promo.
Tell me a little bit about what you're drinking, man. How's that tasting? How's it smelling? It doesn't look like it's totally undercarbonated. You got a little bit of a head there.
The head that's here is very, very home brewish. Like if you carbonated something at the house and you didn't fully get a full retention on there. I think part of it is because it's calling itself an Imperial Red. I'm not sure if they've got the alcohol content. Yeah, there it is, 9%. So it's got a healthy amount of carbonation for something that's a large beer, but really I would expect or want a little more carbonation out of this. So it kind of kills the nose. But it's a very bready beer. Very tasty beer. It's got all
Nice.
I would expect. So it's very. It's got the Munich malt, heavy Munich malt. Not as much hop as I would think. So they didn't Americanize the Imperial Red. It's more like an Imperial Irish Red. So it's pretty tasty.
Okay. Excellent. This Doppelbock is it's pretty dark. It was billed as a black Doppelbock, and it is definitely not disappointing. It's surprise, surprise from from Portland. So it's well hopped, and the hops are really masking some really nice dark fruit flavors, a little bit of like a rich caramel, and as a beer, I'm definitely enjoying it. As a Doppelbock, I'm thoroughly unimpressed. So let's go and dive into some news, Rich. What do you got for us tonight?
All right, let me let's tee up the news segment here by order of top to bottom. Kyle, do you want to go ahead and the big headliner, I guess, going on down here is the 30th annual Bluebonnet Brew-Off, which you're heavily involved in, I'm sure. I'll talk a little bit about what's happening in that scene.
Yes, sir. We kicked off the judging 2 weeks ago, and by we I mean everybody but me, because I decided to get a little a cold, and it was one of those I'm gonna go up and judge. I can do it. I can tough through this, and I sat on the couch at about 11 o'clock after coming back home from work, and realized that I could also sit on the couch for the remainder of the 12 hours that I was going to be awake. So that is alternatively what I did. However, I went and made up for it with judging 3 flights here this last week, and some really good beers as usual. We had over 1,400 entries in Bluebonnet this year, which is just shy of 100 less than our cap, which is awesome. Now we're just trying to get the first round judged. So this year's head judge, James Leland, did a phenomenal job of coming up with some new concepts for what Bluebonnet does. Bluebonnet's tended to be more randomized in the entries. This was more subjective. He took subcategories throughout a flight and made it a flight. So instead of saying, okay, I'm going to do heavy British beers, so there would be old ales, there would be barley wines. In this particular new style of BJCP, there's also wee heavies. So you've got several different huge beers in there. Well, he's take that and put all the wee heavies in one flight, and put all of the barley wines in one flight, all of the old ales in one flight. So all that together, I think, is a really neat deal. He's also made a focus on doing large groups of judging for certain particular styles of beer that have a lot of entries, like a spice or vegetable. Go ahead and get 8 sets of or 8 judges or 10 judges or however many it takes to judge all the spice or vegetable, and go ahead and knock them all out at once. So it's been some fun stuff, but overall, Bluebonnet, it's all about the homebrew, and then comes the festival. Then comes the fun on March 11th and 12th this year. And it'll be a Friday, Saturday. Everybody here in the DFW area really should attend. $30 for a single night. If you're only coming out Friday nights, $40 for the entire event. It's on Eventbrite. I highly recommend you just purchase some tickets and come on out. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah, we've talked about this in the past, Kyle, and I mean, I could go on and on about how amazing Bluebonnet is. If you guys are in the Dallas area, make sure to go check out the Bluebonnet. There's really no way to describe how much fun it is. So check it out.
Absolutely.
So what?
So I'm sure you want me to take us down to the next news segment, or did I cut you off there?
Let's go ahead and do that.
The next news. This is one out of Bano's bag of tricks here. Tell us about what McDonald's is doing for beverage options overseas that might be of interest to our viewers.
McDonald's in South Korea has begun offering beer. So, or is about to begin offering beer. No word on their beer selection that's going to be available, but McDonald's clearly in need of business. McDonald's has been hurting a lot over the last few years. Their sales have ticked up slightly ever since they introduced all-day breakfast, but McDonald's worldwide definitely feeling a little pinch from people looking for different food options, more variety, healthier stuff, stuff that doesn't make them want to die, things like that. And so,
I'm really
as
excited
part
about
of their
the
attempt
beer
to-
for breakfast menu. I think that's going to be a great offer.
Yes,
The all-day
yes,
beer
the
menu.
beer for breakfast menu.
I think
Yeah.
that
So,
was advertised that you had to be 19, right, which is the drinking age in Korea. But Richard does bring up a good point. They didn't say that you had to order it for lunch or dinner. I find that that's a lot more feasible option for me now to go get an egg McMuffin and beer.
Yeah, you're going in for a rough
Yeah,
day
I-
at work. You're like, oh gosh, I cannot go. I need an egg McMuffin, and let me go and get the value size beer. I'll go ahead and upsize that. That sounds good.
So no word on their selection that I've seen. I assume it'll be some sort of lager, the Korean equivalent of Qingdao or Budweiser.
That good.
But definitely an interesting concept, a fast food company serving beer. Starbucks is starting to serve beer and wine. The idea is definitely going to continue to spread. So let's just see where this takes us. I mean, who knows? Maybe In-N-Out will start carrying Sierra Nevada. I mean, how cool would that be?
There's a lot of really good fast food restaurants that do serve beer. Fuzzy's Tacos is one of them. That's a pretty decent place to get a bite to eat. And, it's not the best food in the world, but it's okay little street tacos and really good beer if you go to the one here local on my way to bowling.
Yeah, the one next to my old house there in Fort Worth, they had really great beer. So
we got Rabbit Hole, Negro Modelo. We've got they've started carrying Blood and Honey, not my favorite, but still it's Revolver beer and it's really good beer.
Is it Torchy's has Rabbit Hole?
Yeah.
Huh, I didn't know that.
Let's see if we can get a Fuzzy Taco. Let's see if we can get Fuzzy Taco as a sponsor on the show. I think that's something we can all get behind.
Girl. I'll start doing some research on that.
Yeah.
All right. Well,
All right, Rich, what's next, man?
next up, let's see. Take us to some. Well, you're really covering the globe, Bano. Ever since you went out west, you've really become the globe-trotting reporter for us.
Yeah, I really try to bring an international flair to what we're doing here.
Oh, yeah.
Well, I think you get a lot more overseas news being so close to the ocean. The internet filters a little different stuff to you.
Yeah, that's definitely true. The sea breeze brings a more of an international internet. So I assume Rich is referring to the other news story that I put up for this week.
The other.
And this is something I put up on our Facebook page, and it generated quite a bit of buzz. I just wanted to talk about it with you guys and see what you think. There's a town in Slovenia, which I assume is one of those little minuscule republics in Europe that are all about like the size of the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex, that has decided to construct a $400,000 public fountain that will serve locally brewed beer. So you just grab a pint, or I guess there it wouldn't be a pint, it'd probably be a liter mug, and you go up and you drop in a couple euro and it dispenses beer for you just right there in the public square. So who wants to go to Slovenia?
Yeah, it looks like they do those little small, like alt-style glasses, like the 10-ounce pours is what they're going for.
Oh, okay, so smaller, okay.
Yeah, and it's ridiculously expensive, but it's pretty cool. Yeah,
It's a pretty cool.
They're asking people to pay about $7 to get a 10-ounce beer, but you get to keep the commemorative mug. So.
That ain't bad.
It's a pretty cool concept. Frankly, the next time I'm in Europe, which might be next year, I'll see if I'm going to be anywhere close. If I'm anywhere close to Slovenia, I'll probably go check this out.
That's bordering on the place that invented cell phones. They started the company Nokia. It's Slobber Nokia.
Yes, with 4 stripe instead of 3. It's a very good deal.
Very good deal.
And bringing it back home to the States, Kyle, you want to talk a little bit about your Colorado trip?
Oh, yeah. Colorado was great, man. Everybody knows Colorado is one of the meccas for beer. And the Pacific Northwest, where Bano's at, Seattle's huge. Portland is probably one of the biggest in the country. But, Denver in that area is amazing. I didn't spend as much time in Denver. I got to spend some time in the mountain country and, try to few different breweries up there. Some were really good and some weren't, but a couple that were standouts that I really enjoyed. One was the Baker's Brewery, and they're in Silverthorne, or right next to Dillon. It's kind of in the heart of where you can get to Keystone and Breckenridge and all kinds of other places. It's really the suburban area just inside of where you can go to a lot of different places, but still live for cheap. But the Bakers did a whole bunch of beers based on food or made with food, and it was a pretty cool deal. So everything they had in it, one of their beers had cumin in it. You know, we talk about that and how we've made that before, and it's a lot of fun. Everything was going to be styled off of something that you could cook, or they always had a wheat or some sort of a light beer that they would infuse through some sort of a Randall with other flavors. So that was a daily changed infusion beer. You had to ask, what's the infusion today? And really cool place, really good food. I very much enjoyed that. That was the first brewery that me and Italy Vitaly went to, and we enjoyed it. Another one that I thought was, what's that? No, nothing.
No,
just
no. We'll go to the machine there.
back. All right.
I set my beer down. You may have heard me setting my beer down.
Yes.
Oh,
Skype is not being pleasant with us this evening, but I think people are getting the gist of what you're saying, so we'll roll with it.
All right. Well, the next one I went to was a brewery that some buddies of my buddies started up, and they were looking at this place forever, and it went up for sale, and they finally pulled the trigger, and it's up in Leadville, which is a small mining town. I mean, not much going on. It's about 45 minutes out of Dillon, not really on the path to any of the good ski resorts. It's more of a mining town, pissant little mountain town like South Park, right?
Right.
It is a very local-oriented establishment, small brewery. They market themselves as the highest brewery in America, which is pretty cool. So its elevation is somewhere around 10,500 feet.
Oh.
I'm sure has some changes in their beer chemistry. You know, I mean, the yeast have to act a little funny up there, but everything they do right now is purchased dry yeast, but they do a very good job with it. They haven't even, there's not enough room in the building for a lab, but they're going to have to make one. So, they did a good job. Their smorgasbord of beers was very solid. They had a culture that was right on. I took a beer home. It didn't travel so well. I didn't open the growler until I got back about 5 days after I had gotten there. So I knew there was a chance it would be a little stale. It was, but it's still okay. But overall, just a good brewery, good food. They serve like elk sausage and a few other different deals like that. That's pretty, fun mountain country type fare. And I very much enjoyed that one. It's worth the little jaunt away from some of the ski slopes to go out there. Everybody's really cool there. They've got a big upstairs with games. It's kid friendly, and as long as you don't
sounds like a great spot, man.
Yeah, and it's really good as long as you don't talk to the redneck from South Mississippi that moved to Oklahoma and has a bunch of stories about how horrible Texas is and can describe those stories with every other word being fuck.
You're from Texas, huh? I don't know. Well, that was kind of a Texas accent, but yeah. It's, I don't know. I like Colorado is really overrated for its skiing and underrated for its beer drinking. That seems to be the headline attraction for me. And then, hey, take a break, go hit the slopes, come back and drink a lot.
One of my favorite times after skiing, and we took our daughter for the first time. She had a riot. She's pretty good at it and got the hang of it after a few days with the lessons and whatnot. We were leaving the slopes one time, waiting for the bus at Loveland, and they have the basin and they have the valley. So the valley is where Charlotte was at, smaller hills and easier for beginners. Basin is where everybody else goes. We're riding the little shuttle back, and as we're waiting for the shuttle, one of my favorite moments was when Megan says, "What's that smell?" And I said, "Honey, that would be weed." As one of the cars in the parking lot was pretty much filled with smoke, a la all the movies. See a car just puffed full of smoke.
How are you in Colorado that long before you smelled weed? Like, every time I go to Colorado, that's like the first thing I smell.
Like getting off the airliner.
Well, Megan.
Yeah, like you know how you go to New York and the cabs all have the little pine tree thing hanging from the rear view that smells like pine. In Colorado, it's a little pot leaf that smells like weed. That's your welcome to Colorado.
I think.
And I like how Megan's being all innocent. What's that smell?
What's that? I've never smelled this before.
Yeah, the teasing was nonstop as I drove past countless organic weed dispensaries. Well, baby, this is organic. I'm just pulling it right here.
It's healthy.
That's Weston A. Price approved, baby. What can you do? We've got a few organic weed dispensaries here in the Pacific Northwest, and it's pretty good stuff.
Another favorite part of that was when, through goading and teasing of my wife, who has never smoked weed, and that's all fine and good and funny, but she asked the question or rebutted to my comment that I was going to take her to one of the organic weed places with, I am not smoking any weed. And I said, well, babe, I'm sure they've got brownies and cookies, oil.
Yeah.
There's lots of options.
Topicals, you can use a topical.
Oh, lotion.
Yeah. Hey, Rich, make a note for the April episode. I've got a buddy who actually genetically engineered his own pot strain, and he grows all his stuff organically. So we could maybe do like a little 420 special.
Okay. Oh yeah, that actually is good.
Yeah, write that down.
You want to do like a head-to-head with him and Megan, just kind of discussing the pros and cons. We can just sit back and moderate.
Bano, I know it's legal up there, not so much here, but what do you think about making yourself a small pale ale and dispensing it through a Randall, but the Randall's filled with half hops and half weed?
I think I could make that work.
Waste of weed.
I don't know if it would not get any of the THC out of there. I don't know how all that.
You wouldn't. We'll go into that later. I don't want to bore our viewers. They didn't tune in to learn about weed.
But
yeah, so we'll advertise the April episode as being all about weed.
Hops and cannabis are cousin plants. They're very.
Oh yeah, they absolutely are. And a couple guys in my brew club have actually attempted brewing with weed. It didn't go so well.
Yeah, you would have to do it in the boil to extract everything, and I'm sure you get a lot of.
Well, and even then, you're not going to extract any THC because THC has to be in the presence of some sort of fat. So you would have to do like a milk stout. You could make a coconut oil beer, and use cannabis infused coconut oil.
I think you guys need to hang on to these because this actually is decent content for a 420 show. If we were
it is, and I don't want to talk too much because
we'll probably fall right on that week and everything. So.
Yeah, so let's go ahead and push the show forward, but let's definitely keep that in our back pocket for April.
So maybe we'll take a step back from the vices of the world and get holy here and talk about Lent. This is the topic that Bano brought up for us with his doppelbock.
Yeah, absolutely, and this is one of my favorite beer stories. Actually, I'm kind of known as the sort of geeky beer historian. I really sort of nerd out on all this cool beer history stuff. And this is real history. This is not like our Saint Wenceslas the spider guy.
Boring.
Yeah. All right. So it might be a little boring. It's Lent. A week ago today, what was Fat Tuesday, and that signifies the end of the non-Lenten season. And Ash Wednesday is when the 40 days and 40 nights of self-denial for Catholics. That's when that began. What was a week ago tomorrow. So one of the characteristics of Lent, one of the ways you deny yourself is by fasting. So monks during the Middle Ages would fast during Lent, and to get through Lent, they drank liquid bread, which is of course beer, and they would brew extra beer. They always made Bock during this time of year. It's the best for whatever reason. It worked the best. So they would always make Bock, and that is why Bock today is associated with spring beers. You always see a Maibock. You see all kind of Bocks coming out this time of year. One group of monks in particular, now monks, and we've talked about this on the show in the past, monks were the first people who really took brewing and changed it from an accident to a science. The monks were the first guys to really start experimenting with beer and trying to figure out where it came from instead of it being just like an oops sort of thing. So the monks of the monastery at Paula discovered over time that the more malt you add to your beer, the more fun Lent becomes. And we know now that they were basically just making their beer more and more alcoholic, thicker and thicker, and they just ended up being tanked for 40 days and 40 nights because they were just drinking beer, like this really strong beer all the time, and not eating anything.
Possibly
so they were just
missing
tanked.
the intent of the season.
I'm glad you bring that up. I'm glad you bring that up because one of the monks, one of the more pious monks, is like, guys, we're missing the mark here. Like, this is Lent. We're supposed to be denying ourselves. We're supposed to be we're supposed to be gosh, I just forgot how to speak, guys. I'm really sorry.
Okay.
Guys, we're supposed to be recognizing Jesus's sacrifice that he made for us, and we're just getting tanked and just like being drunk for a month and a half. This is not cool. So big argument erupts in the monastery at Paula. So the answer, what they come up with is, we'll ask the Pope. The Pope says we're good, then we're good. And if the Pope says, no, you guys are having too much fun, then we'll dial it back a little bit. So they make a special barrel of their beer to send to Italy. Here we are, 400 years later. We know what happened. The beer slished and sloshed all the way to Rome. The Italian sun beat on it. It was oxygenated. It was, by the time it got to Rome, it probably tasted like sewage. So it gets to Rome. The Pope reads this. I was like, oh, okay, yeah, I can appreciate what these guys are about. He folds up the little scroll they gave him, and he takes a glass, he drinks their beer, and immediately spits it out and throws his glass on the ground and says, they're good. These guys are definitely denying themselves, and they are definitely honoring Christ. I really appreciate the piety, but I'm not having any more of that stuff. Yeah, and so the Pope sends this letter back, like, hey, you guys are good, and Pauliner Salvatore was born. Yeah, so the monks of the monastery of Paula continued getting drunk, and the rest of the world was introduced to Pauliner Salvatore, the very first Doppelbock. And that is, of the beer history stories, that one's probably my favorite. So it's Lent. Make sure you guys drink a lot of Doppelbock this season. It really does make the season. And try to eat something, though. You know, you don't want to go all totally monk on this. Like, we all do have jobs to go to and stuff. But had I heard about this back when I was in college, and Kyle, I think you'll be with me on this, I might have tried the 40-day and 40-night Doppelbock diet.
Oh my gosh, that would have been amazing.
Yes. Back when we had no responsibilities, nothing else to do, the Doppelbock diet totally would have worked.
Well, you were in college.
We'll see if these guys agree. Oh, not very loud, but Gallivant. You've seen that.
Oh, okay.
Hey, we're the monks. It's just reminds me. Everything
sounds like a direct rip-off of the Monty Python singing monks, but okay.
It is.
Bono, okay, so I've got one question about your graphic that you sent over here. Who is this motley-looking Leonardo DiCaprio guy smoking a butt?
You know, I don't know. That's just like some stock photo I found associated with Doppelbock during Lent. And I'm guessing it appears to be some sort of like a monastery, like these guys are in training to become monks or priests or something. I just thought it was, but they're all holding bottles of Doppelbock allegedly, according to the photo caption. So,
you know, most of those guys look like they would be holding anything shaped similar to a bottle anywhere near their mouth if they could.
Wow!
Oh my.
Wow!
Especially that dude in the
Just
middle.
saying, man. I mean that.
Well, dude, all European men look like that.
All right. Well, way to ruin religion. Check. We'll just move on to the next one.
The monks.
Let's see. So, we've we've got a fun little segment to talk about something Kyle put together. But first, I think we'd be remiss if we go too much further into the show without doing our Sweetless in Seattle.
Oh,
Sweetless in Seattle. Awesome. Guys, this was a really fun one. This is one of my favorite breweries in the Seattle area. Very, very tough to find a malty beer there. But they usually have one. Well, they usually have a wit or a wheat or something on tap that I'm not really too keen on. But this time on this particular visit, they had a stout that I really thoroughly enjoyed. So let's go ahead and check that out.
I'm at the Troll statue in the Fremont neighborhood of Seattle, just up the road from the Fremont Brewing Company. Gonna head down there here in just a second, see if we can't find any malty beer. Hey, this is the Reverend Ryan Bano. I'm here today to talk to you about codename S.T.O.U.T from Fremont Brewing Company. Before we really dive into talking about the beer, I want to talk a little bit about the neighborhood that Fremont is in. Fremont, as the name implies, is in the Fremont neighborhood of Seattle. Fremont used to be its own city and was annexed by Seattle, but has fought really hard to maintain its sort of independent, kind of funky feel. Fremont neighborhood, among other things, is very artsy. There's a statue of a troll that you saw in the intro. It's a little bit weird. It's a little eclectic. There's a statue of Vladimir Lenin, actually, maybe a couple blocks from the brewery. This statue used to be proudly displayed in Slovakia before it was toppled when the Cold War was ending. And some American vet just happened to be in Slovakia that day in that town, saw the statue face down in the town square, and just thought that it was a shame to see this amazing art go to waste. And so he mortgaged his home and spent basically his last penny bringing this statue of Vladimir Lenin to Seattle. Fremont neighborhood has such bizarre events. There's all kinds of arts festivals and things like this. One of the things it's most known for is the Fremont Solstice Parade, which basically involves a lot of people who you may or may not want to see naked, riding naked on bicycles during the summer solstice. It's a celebration of the sun and of life. Really, the summer solstice marks the beginning of summer in Seattle, and a lot of times it's still pretty cold, so not always great weather to be riding out naked, but that never ever stops them. Okay, so we've talked a little bit about the Fremont neighborhood. Now let's talk about the brewery and the beer that we're trying today, codename S.T.O.U.T. Fremont Brewery, just like the Fremont neighborhood, definitely maintains sort of an independent, sort of funky vibe. They try to do all kinds of cool stuff with their beers. They do a lot of barrel aging, of course. They're going to be at the Cask Beer Festival here in Seattle that I'll no doubt be talking about on a future episode of the show. They like to sort of experiment, do weird stuff, and codename S.T.O.U.T is no exception to that. Codename S.T.O.U.T, it feels like kind of a hybrid between an American stout and a milk stout. It only weighs in somewhere in the neighborhood of like 5.5% alcohol, so it's not a heavy beer. The roast is very evident in this beer, and there is a slight bitterness brought on by the addition of cocoa nibs. And the cocoa nibs bring in some chocolate. There's also some coffee flavors in this beer. You pour it, it's pitch black, just like a stout is supposed to be. But this beer has a pretty full body, like you would expect from a milk stout, and finishes very dry. I'm very intrigued by the dry finish and the full body. Really, really enjoy this beer, guys. They also have an oak-aged version that I'm not going to try, because I'm not a big fan of oak-aged beers. That's just me. That's just who I am. If you like oak-aged beers, though, and you like stouts, you might want to give this one a try, because if their oak aging is half as good as their stout making, it's going to be a phenomenal drink. Guys, this is the Reverend Ryan Bano, once again showing you that beer doesn't always have to be sweetless in Seattle.
Well, great time. And you know what I liked most about that, Bono?
What's that?
All your footage was very rainy, very Seattle-like. That's what I picture when I think about Seattle, is just like constant rain. So,
yeah,
very good.
I filmed all this stuff yesterday, and it was a very stereotypically rainy day here in Seattle.
Yeah.
Had I filmed that today, it would have looked nothing like that. Today was a gorgeous day.
Yeah, you keep sending back these pictures and videos of like gorgeous sunny, northwestern United States. I'm like, I don't know. It seems fake.
Yeah, well, I Photoshop all that stuff
Yeah,
in
it's not green screen work.
because, yeah, I really want to pretend that it's really sunny and beautiful up here. So I have to move that fake stuff in. And you can ask my friend Chris, who's actually watching the show this evening from Tallahassee, Florida. He came out to visit last August. He'll tell you it rained the whole time. He didn't see the sun once.
Well, he said he's actually in chat, and he mentioned that he was amazed that you found parking close enough to the troll statue. Did you have to walk into that one, or actually get to park next to it?
Yeah, the troll is pretty tough to find parking around. On rainy days, it's going to be and especially I went on a weekday, so it was a little bit easier. But I mean, you could see it was a rainy Monday afternoon, and there's still people climbing all over that thing. I took our buddy P has there when he came out to visit, and I try to. I don't know. That's a really cool spot. So I always like to take people there. It's the other thing about Fremont that I forgot to mention. It bills itself as the center of the known universe. It's a cool little ville, man. I really like Fremont. It's kind of a bizarre spot. But the brewery is great. The neighborhood's really cool. And like within walking distance of the brewery, you've got the Lenin statue, you've got the troll statue, and then there's a world famous chocolate place called S.T.O.U.T, also within walking distance right there. It's just a really cool little spot.
All right. Well, very cool. Thank you for the report. We really enjoy that.
Well, and here in a couple weeks, I'm heading up to Canada, so I'm going to be stopping in a town called Bellingham. There's a really great brewery up there called Aslan that I know has some great malty beers, several of them actually. It's a British-themed brewery, so we're going to get some really good reviews next time.
Canada, eh? Almost.
Canada, eh? Yeah.
You boys like Mexico? Yeah!
Woo!
Oh, well, Kyle, with that, do you want to talk to us about your this lovely little contraption you've made here? I've got a little video if you want to introduce it that way. Shall we?
Yeah, let's go ahead and roll that beautiful bean footage.
Let's take a look at the clip. Let's see if I can do this without... Yeah.
All right. This is Kyle LaPointe, a.k.a. Brewdog. I'm just getting home from vacation, man. Tired. Got my luggage. Man, we got everything packed up, ready to go from skiing. And sometimes you just feel like a beer. And you don't want to wait till you get all the way back from your ski trip. Much better just to grab a beer while you're still packed. Who likes to unpack? Ooh, a little Belma
That's living.
So, Rich, before we go further, can I ask you a technical question?
You can try. What's up?
All right. So, when you're showing and broadcasting a video, are you able to still record Bano and I on our separate feeds?
No, I was watching you guys in the monitor. What the hell are you doing?
We're just trying to make each other laugh and mostly succeed.
Yeah, I did have to pot you down halfway through that because I was like, I was just watching the movie and I kind of looked over like, what the?
All right. So just so long as we know there that
yeah, that's good. That's good to know because we're doing some pretty
today,
silly stuff.
I can engineer anything. We'll figure out how to give it a back channel recording so you guys are always under the pressure.
Oh, I think that's a terrible idea.
So you got your
all right, Kyle.
So going to show us what you got here, Kyle.
Yeah, I'm trying to zoom in here and see what we can get.
Tell us about this suitcase, Kyle. Well, what are you using this for? Are you just taking it to beer events, or are you legitimately traveling with it?
No, this is just for beer events. Just kind of one of those fun, like the folks over there at the Horsemen of the Apocalypse. They have their beer chariot, right? Which is what they.
Oh yeah, that's really cool.
They've got an old-fashioned 1920s wheelchair that they hooked up with a bunch of beer, and they'd hook a Randall up to it and send beer through it and serve beer through. It's awesome. Well, they upgraded theirs. Now it looks like an ice cream cart on steroids.
Yeah,
it's amazing. But I took this out to the Iron Bash this year. They were trying to do more stuff about demonstrating presentation and having your beer served with the food. And so
Okay.
we did a fig ice bock, which turned out great. We also made fig ice cream to serve with the ice bock, and that was really good and fun. And then we took this around, which is on a 4-wheel mover, right? Casters, right? So I had to do some repairs as I bought this for $15 from the local thrift store. But I got that all fixed, did some welding on the wheels, got them all back to where we can move the thing around. And during the event, everybody else is stationary, sitting at their tables, serving their beer. And we would walk up to them, bringing our beer cart and serving our beer out of luggage. We made a lot of jokes about how we just got back from being in town or out of town. And, now we're going to be serving our beer. And, it was a lot of fun. It really was.
You need like a little fedora when you're doing this, just like you just waltzed in out of first class.
Yeah.
I like how you upgrade this to 2 taps now from the video. You've got dual tappage, is it?
Yeah, I just wasn't done.
Okay.
The plan was always 2 taps, and I just wasn't complete yet. So I went ahead and finished that and did the second tap and got it all going. It was really fun, man. A lot of questions were how you keep the beer cold, or do you have it, do you fill the thing with ice? What are you doing? We were real simple with it.
Are you able to show us the insides?
The insides, yeah, I can show you. I mean, it doesn't really do much here because it's
zipper,
it's
nice.
just hoses. It's just hoses and the inside shanks for the beer taps.
And the little party keg just set right inside there?
It wasn't even a party keg. It was a full-size keg. But what we did was we got one of those insulated nylon sleeves that goes around it with the ice pack that goes inside called a keg glove. And my wife bought that for me for Christmas 5 years back when she couldn't figure out what I needed for Christmas, and went to the homebrew store and said, "What would Kyle like but never buy with his own money?" And they said, "Well, you'll want this." So, if we ever get Keg Glove as a sponsor, I think that's our tagline. What would Kyle never buy with his own money? So
the next time you're looking for something for your significant other that they would never buy with their own money.
Total waste of my husband's money, but I've got his money, so I'm going to spend it.
Least it up. Yeah.
So we should write the fine folks at Keglove. I think we might have just happened upon a new advertising slogan for them.
You're great at picking out revenue streams for us, Bano. This is good.
Keglove, when your own money just isn't good enough.
How many times has this happened to you? We've all got extra money laying around, but don't know what to spend it on.
We give it to our wives.
Yeah. And of course, they immediately go out and buy us gifts with that. Wait a minute.
This sounds like another commercial. We've got a lot of commercials we need to film. Didn't I send you a commercial we need to film?
Yep.
Yeah, I know we want to do the PSA for ABS, but we did that during the show last month.
People don't understand that about us. They think we're just a bunch of beer-drinking podcasters, but no, we're very business-oriented, very businessy.
We are.
We're also totally hilarious.
I couldn't agree more, sir.
Yes.
So, Kyle, what do we want to talk about next month, man?
Ah, man, it feels weird to say next month, although...
I know, right?
It'll
nice.
Be here before you know it.
Once a month we get to hang out with two of my best friends. I guess technically I could be one of my best friends too. So yes,
best friend. That's awesome.
It's a great deal, but I do miss the every week. That was fun. But
yeah, but back when we did it every week, we couldn't use the tagline, "You can't brew that on television. It's that time of the month already."
And that was really the guiding factor behind the transition.
Yeah, Bono, we're just bleeding viewers now. You got to be careful.
Internet chat room really loves your invention. They're ready to see that to come to market, Kyle. So.
Dude, you might be on. We might want to do a fun me campaign or something. You might be early on to something here.
Yeah, it was easy. It was fun. I could definitely do better with better luggage. This was a well-used, well-traveled luggage that somebody decided Thrift Town needed more than them. 3 of the wheels were functioning. One was busted and broken, and I literally had to weld a screw into the center. It was a lot of fun to fix everything up and just do do the things it took to get it back together. And I put it together, bought it the day after we got back from Colorado at 4 in the morning. Well, I say 4 in the morning. We got back at 4:30 and fell asleep probably like 5:30, and then I woke up about 10 in a grog, right? I just driven all the way from Dillon, Colorado, over to places in Denver, then back to Colorado Springs, and drinking beer the whole way, having a good time, and then we made the big trek all the way through to the flat country of Texas, and made it all back. And man, I tell you, drove till 4:30 in the morning. But if I didn't have the event the next day, I probably would have given up a couple times in the process of making this because we hit a few snags. But overall, I was very happy that motivation was there to keep us going for the next day. And one of my favorite things is, one of my inspirational people in the brewing industry, a guy that I really like, Matt Morris, one of the brewer owners of Rabbit Hole Brewing here in Justin, Texas. Great brewery, known Matt and Tom for a long time. They do a great job, make great beers, but they also were part of the invention people for the Horsemen of the Apocalypse and their Chariot. And him and I always talk about all these ideas of like, well, how can we serve beer randomly different than some other way? And we've got a few other ideas in the pike that we haven't ever done that we'd love to do. And, one of them I think would be a fun experiment for this show, but it will take quite a bit of time and a little bit of money and effort to be able to make it happen. But I really think it will be awesome. I don't want to broadcast it on this show, but
okay.
I've got a good one.
The tease. All right. Be a good promo. We could do that.
There you go. All right. So what are we going to talk about next month, Kyle?
Next month we're going to talk about what month is it? We'll probably
March. We should probably preview the Bluebonnet.
Bluebonnet will be there. I think that's a.
I'll be talking about my Canadian adventure. I'm sure I'm going to taste some beers while I'm up in Canada. I'll be able to discuss those a little bit.
I think we should bring in the traditional spring beers, man. It's time for my box. My favorite time.
I like that idea. Let's both try to find a Maibach to taste for next month.
Sounds good. And it'll be a post view of Bluebonnet because Bluebonnet's a week or two.
Oh, okay. So not a preview, but a review.
Yeah.
And let's see, what date is going to be our next episode? The 23rd, probably.
So it's thrown everything off.
I'm either going to be previewing or reviewing the Seattle Cask Beer Festival, which is going to be occurring on March 19th.
Nice.
So that is the best beer festival I've ever been to, and I cannot wait to talk about it. I can't wait to go. It's awesome. So look forward to that, everybody.
Broadcast, Bano.
If you find an extra cask, just send it my way.
Yeah, sure. I can make it look natural when I'm stumbling out. Like, no, I came in with this, I swear.
My back.
Rich, you have anything to add, man?
I think Skype cut me out, but I was saying that the 15th is our next broadcast.
Okay, yeah, so I'll be previewing the Seattle Cask Beer Festival then during our next show. Definitely looking forward to that. So
I've got from Roanoke, Texas, guys. Thank you very much for your presence tonight on the network.
Awesome. Everyone plan to join us March 15th at 8:30 Central here in the Lone Stars.
St. Patty's Day.
The day after 2 days before St. Patty's Day. St. Patty's Day is a Thursday.
Thank you.
So actually, that's a good point. Yeah, we should probably do some. Let's do Irish beer in March, and let's do Maibach in April. I know April's weed. We'll figure it out. We're gonna drink beer. We're gonna drink beer once a month, everybody.
There you go.
Yeah. Maybe May for Maibach. Does that sound good?
Maybe.
I will be drinking for our March episode. I'll be drinking Quilter's Irish Death, which is brewed at the Iron Horse Brewery, just about an hour east of me. Quilter's Irish Death is the best malty beer I've had up here. In fact, I think that's what I'll review next month is Quilter's Irish Death. Phenomenal beer from a phenomenal brewery.
Before I forget, make sure you rewind about 30 seconds to what Bano just said, because I think that's a priceless quote that we need to play on the show many, many, many times. where he says, "I will be drinking," because very enthusiastic about it, and you know, I think it would be the answer to a lot of our questions that we have over the show. You know, Bano.
I will be drinking.
I will be.
Yeah, that was pretty good. Okay, it shall be done.
All right. Good. I'm glad. I had no idea that would be so funny, but I think it's gonna work.
It's funny because
I did
it's
not
true.
think Matt's "Oh God, that is awful" was very funny at the time, but in the years since, I found myself repeating it over and over and over again, even when the show's not on.
Iconic.
Oh God, that is awful.
There.
I also
All right,
like
everyone,
this
be sure
They all suck.
Be sure to join us Tuesday, March 15th, as we drink beer right here on the Lone Star. We're gonna do it live. You always remember that we are not professional. We are not professionals.
So please try this at home.
Well, I sit up, down, flip it around, dress it up nice and then take it to town. And I can't even try to stay above the ground, and I won't even try cause it's a safe sound. Cause I know I should just sail away. Whoa, I said nothing is wrong, everything's right. Fucking up shit on a Saturday night, and those tires I might just can't say a sign. And I won't even try to up them on a